Hello Cules and welcome back to Barca Universal. Welcome back to a brand new video on our channel. It has been a while, international football has taken over for the next few weeks, but it is time to do a Barcelona news roundup because, well, despite the fact that international football has taken over, there has been a lot of Barcelona news, and in general there are a lot of relevant topics to discuss around Barcelona. There usually are, but right now in the last few days there's been a lot, so I've gathered all of it, I've put all of it into a video, and I hope that you guys understand every single situation around the club right now in depth detail. So let's get started. But I wanted to start with a topic that maybe isn't so relevant day to day, but certainly is a vital and important topic in the future of Barcelona, and that is, of course, the future of Lionel Messi. He's our best player, the best ever player in terms of a footballer, and he could be leaving the club, guys. It's that simple, and we all know this for a long time. Messi wanted to leave in the summer. You know, there's no point in me going into the details of the story. You all know it. He remains, for this season at least, but his contract is running down, guys, and time is running out. He's got 6 months left on it, and it's that simple, guys. 6 months left on Lionel Messi's contract. He refused to renew it with Bartomeu's board. He, of course, is going to refuse to renew it with the interim board of Cules Busquets, who, let's be honest, seems to be almost Bartomeu's son. They act in a similar way, and Messi right now is on thin ice, and so are we in terms of his situation. Look, as of January the 1st, clubs can negotiate with Lionel Messi. He's a free agent, essentially. Barcelona will be doing nothing to stop that. Man City, Inter, you name it, they can go in for Messi, and we can't do anything about that. They can negotiate with him from January the 1st with 6 months left on his contract. Messi's available, essentially, and that's worrying. That really is, and I say that because the presidential elections, as I'll be getting onto later, won't be coming early enough to decide Messi's future, really. In the way that if Messi agrees with the club before the 24th of January when the election's going to happen, we could be in deep trouble. But what I will say is that you'd expect Messi to be smart enough to not agree with the club in the first 20 days of January. Look, he'll be certainly focused on the season with Barcelona. It's Messi. He's not going to make any stupid or rash decisions here. And I think his future, it all depends on the next president of Barcelona. If Font comes in, if Laporta comes in, and he's pleased with their project as Lionel Messi, then you'd imagine he'll renew with Barcelona. But it is important to note that the time is running out. It's not a foregone conclusion. If Man City give him a nice offer in January, in February or whenever, you would expect that Messi would definitely consider that. And if the new president can't convince him of Barcelona's project, if he can't convince Messi that this is the right path to take, then we could be in trouble and Messi could be on his way out. So look, I'd say it's still very up in the air right now. I would expect Messi to make a calm and the right decision at the end of the day, but it does really depend on that new president. It really does. And moving swiftly on to those presidential elections, which of course are such a hot topic right now at Barcelona. Bartomeu got removed by that vote of no confidence, essentially. Yes, he resigned, but hey, we know that that was kicking him out, and that was really, really well done to all the members who got involved in that. But let's talk about the elections, guys, because of course that is the next step, and I think we all wanted the elections to be brought right forward now, which is what they are. They were going to be held in March anyway, but let's be honest, Bartomeu would have only left until about June or July, so it is still good that we've brought this forward despite what some people say. But in terms of the election dates, I think there's definitely been some upset characters in the Barcelona presidential candidates, because the date for the election, guys, is set to be the 24th of January. And you've got to say, from a Barcelona fan's point of view, that is way too late. I think we got the board out in time. They resigned not that long ago for sure, but certainly early enough to have maybe a December election or an early January election. And that could have really helped the club for so many reasons. And I think people are massively angry at that. Cules Busquets, who's the interim president, if you like, right now, certainly making some dodgy decisions, and he does not seem trustworthy at all. He's trying to do the salary cuts right now also, and honestly, the players do not want to negotiate that with him. They'd rather wait until the new board comes in. But right now with Cules Busquets, I do worry. I do wonder if he's hanging on to power, if he's making some dodgy decisions, if maybe Bartomeu's still in his ear. I don't know what's going on there, but you do worry really, because the elections being that far back in the 24th of January, that could mean a lot of things. I mentioned just there Messi, he can negotiate with clubs from the 1st of January. Also the salary cuts, guys, what's going to happen with them? And also the January transfer window, which I know you guys are so interested in. Honestly, what's going to happen in the January transfer window if we don't have a president for it? Are we going to be selling players? Are we going to be bringing players in? Is Busquets really going to make that big of a call? That for me is interesting. Say a president does come in late January, he's not really going to have any time to do any deals in all truth. So that puts a lot up in the air, and I think in terms of the presidential election, it's not all in all good news right now for Barcelona fans. It's a little bit late, and that is a bit worrying. But let's move on to those transfers, guys, because I know you guys are so interested in that, as am I, because Barcelona are in a really interesting situation transfer-wise. And let's get to the basics, really. In January, I think it's fair to say that Barcelona as a club are looking to bring in Eric Garcia and Memphis Depay. That's been the objective, really. They tried in the summer. It didn't happen. But here's the situation, guys. A lot depends on these signings, on the new president. It really does. And a lot depends on the funds and if we can sell people. And there are a lot of factors that hinder these deals. So I think a lot of news reports come out and they say, look, Barcelona want to sell Braithwaite, they want to sell Junior, they want to sell Umtiti, Mateus Fernandes, Aleñá, even Ricky Puig. They want to sell all these players and they want to sign Eric Garcia and Memphis Depay. But I'm going to tell you right now, guys, if the new president comes in and he doesn't want these players, especially Memphis Depay, then you'd imagine they won't be signed. Like I said there, the elections being on the 24th of January makes things really interesting. Is Busquets going to take control of this window? Is he going to make sales? Is he going to make signings? For me, that's interesting. We've got to wait and see about that. But regarding the entire signing situation for Barcelona, just know this. We are not in a good situation financially at all. If we want to be signing players, we have to sell. If we want to be signing Eric Garcia, you'd imagine we have to sell Junior Firpo or Umtiti. If we want to be signing Memphis Depay, you'd imagine we have to sell Martin Braithwaite. And these things aren't going to happen with a click of the fingers. The board have to be competent enough to sell players to clubs. And look, they've already proven in the past that they aren't really. And of course, we've got an interim board now. Are they going to be making decisions such as sales of big players like Umtiti and Junior and bringing people in? I'm not so sure. So the January transfer window is really up in the air right now. What I'd let you know is that, well, are the interim board going to make any transfers? We've got to wait and see about that. If they're not, then the new president only has, a week to do transfers? Are they going to make any big calls? I'm not so sure either. So is Memphis Depay actually going to be signed? Are these players who we see reports about leaving every single day, are they actually going to go? I'm not so sure. And delving more into the transfer world, I wanted to bring up a really interesting interview that came out, and I'm sure a load of you guys would have seen the quotes from that, and I've got them all here, really, the interesting ones. That was from JAVIER BORDAS, who was a former board member. He was on the sporting directive team, and that means that he's essentially in charge of transfers, if you like. So he's a transfer man, and he spoke about a lot of interesting things here. So I wanted to put out a few quotes, and let's get into what some of these mean. Because this one first came out, and this was from BORDAS. He just essentially said, look, we had the option to buy Mbappe for 100 million when we were going for Dembele. And actually, as you guys see here on the second quote, he says the explanation at the time was that Mbappe plays for himself and that Dembele plays for the team. And that for 100 million, yes, we could have got Mbappe, but they went for Dembele. And I find this interesting that one, he comes out and does an interview, and two, he goes on about all these things. I don't really know what he's trying to gain with saying something like this, whether he wants to make the fans angry, or whether he wants to say, look, we trust in Dembele. I'm not entirely sure what the aim was, but look, I think it's important to know that at clubs, all of the big players get passed around, and Barcelona clearly would have had the chance to sign Mbappe. But let me know what you guys think about that in the comments down below. Of course, it looks obvious. Of course, we should have signed Mbappe instead, but I do see his reasoning. We couldn't have really foreseen that Dembele would have been this bad injury-wise, and maybe Mbappe would have had a similar terrible story at Barcelona. It does often happen with big signings joining us. It doesn't always go that well, so I want to know what you guys think about that. And BORDAS also had a bit of a word on Neymar and his situation. It was about 2 summers ago that you guys will probably recall the Neymar saga really did come back into fruition. And BORDAS said we were very serious about re-signing Neymar. We were so close that he thought he was coming, and so did I. Ney said that his home was Barca and that he wanted to return. And I find that really interesting because Barcelona, I do indeed agree, was so close to getting Neymar in that summer. The same one we got Griezmann. We were a few million off, and we just couldn't agree that fee with PSG. And BORDAS even went on to say that some players actually agreed to lower their salary in order for Neymar to return to Barcelona. So I think what we can all grasp from this really is that the players, the club, were desperate for Neymar to return that summer. We've also seen reports in recent weeks, which I thought this was really relevant for, that Neymar could be coming back. And what I'd say about the recent reports is that I highly doubt Neymar's coming back. Victor Fonts recently said that Neymar isn't really part of our project. He'd be great for the sports project. He's one of the best players in the world. But in terms of economical, financial stuff, you know, Neymar, it isn't really going to work for Barcelona right now. But I think Neymar, he was so close to coming back there, and that's what BORDAS, our former sporting director, has to say about it. BORDAS also went on to, if you want, blow his own trumpet a little bit. He kind of said that he recommended players at Haaland, Ferran Torres, Dani Olmo, and he said they were all available for only 20 million euros. And whilst this is true, I just beg the question here. You've said all this stuff about Mbappe, about Neymar, about all these great young players, but why didn't you actually go and do anything? I understand that, you know, if he's not the one in charge and he has to pass castings through people, but as an important guy in the sporting directive team, you'd expect him to push these signings a little bit more, because the players we're talking about, we haven't got one of them. That's the situation, guys. He's talking about all these people that we could have got, and not one arrived in the end. So this interview was certainly interesting, and it definitely sparked some really interesting debates. And he actually delved in a little bit more on Erling Haaland, who of course is a player that Barcelona can still sign in the future. You know, that situation certainly isn't dead yet. I believe in 2 summers' time or next summer, Haaland is available for just 75 million. So this situation with Haaland and Barcelona and any other club really, it certainly isn't dead. But Haaland could have actually joined Barcelona at around about, I believe, the same time that Kevin Prince Boateng came, and he said the reason that Barcelona didn't actually sign Haaland was because the technical staff told me that he wasn't as Barca type of striker. The truth is that players come and you don't know how they will perform. So again, the directive, the board, making an absolute mess of transfers. And one final quote here that maybe was actually the most interesting of the lot for me. He said, "It was a mistake to sack Valverde while being leaders in the league, as it was also a mistake to bring in Setien." And I think that is a big statement from BORDAS, because we know there are some board members who wanted Valverde to remain. We know that some, like Eric Abidal, wanted Valverde out, and players, or not players, or managers rather, like Setien, to come in. But BORDAS was clearly on Bartomeu's side in wanting to remain with Valverde. And we've probably seen now in hindsight, which is a wonderful thing, that, look, we probably should have stuck with Valverde. Setien came in and did pretty much nothing, let's be honest with ourselves. But the whole Valverde situation was such an interesting one, and to understand that BORDAS agreed that maybe we should have kept Valverde is an interesting one. And just a final word actually on the midfield of Barcelona to wrap up this news video. Busquets has actually been injured on international duty, which means he'll be missing the Atletico Madrid game, the Dynamo Kiev game, and you'd also expect the Osasuna game. So what does that mean for Barcelona? Well, you'd expect Miran and Pjanic to come in next to Frankie de Jong, but is this the likes of Riqui Puig's chance? Can they finally get some minutes? And more importantly on that situation, Riqui Puig and Carles Aleñá, what's going on with them? Because there's been reports that actually Barcelona could do with loaning them out. I think Koeman would be happy if they got loaned out, and even if the club got someone in like Wijnaldum, that's definitely put some people against Koeman. He doesn't help himself saying things like that. But the whole Aleñá and Riqui situation is an interesting one. I just don't know how many minutes they're going to get for Barcelona this season. We've already seen they've got very little. And is that going to change in the future? Well, look, now that Busquets is injured, I'd imagine yes. I think Aleñá and Riqui are going to be getting minutes in the week returning from international duty. But once Busquets, Pjanic and de Jong are all fit, they're going to get very little action. But that is where this video is going to come to an end. Look, there was so much to discuss there, guys, so I hope I got through it all in a digestible manner for you guys. Leave your thoughts on any of that just went up in this video in the comments down below. Drop a like if you enjoyed it, share it around, because there was a lot to talk about there, wasn't there? Club football, however, is nearly back. We're back, of course, with Atletico de Madrid. I will be doing my match preview for that on the Friday. But there's been so much to talk about in the recent weeks. You know, you look at the elections, Messi's future, the January transfer window, interviews such as that from BORDAS coming out also always bring up talking points. So yeah, that's where I'm going to end it. Leave your thoughts, drop a like. I'll see you guys very, very soon for some more Barcelona Universal content. Football is nearly back for the clubs, and goodbye.